The Mari Lwyd is a wassailing tradition, principally from Glamorgan, South Wales, though it also appears elsewhere and in similar though distinct forms. It was first officially written about in 1800 in a book entitled A Tour Through Part of North Wales, though it was already a tradition prior to this. It bears similarities to traditions elsewhere in Britain, where people would dress up as hooded animals or dance in hobby horses. The Mari Lwyd itself is a horse's skull mounted upon a pole with streamers and ribbons. A sheet is attached to cover a person underneath who is holding the pole and who is also able to move the jaw of the skull, making a harsh snapping sound. This person and the Mari are joined by a company of other people, and in places such as Ystrad, the Mari is accompanied by a jester and a lady. During the winter months, especially Christmas and around New Year or the 12th night, the Mari Lwyd would be carried to the doors of local houses and would engage in a thing called a punko, a rhyming song duel. The homeowners would come up with excuses for denying the Mari entry into their home, but if she won the competition, they would be obligated to allow her to enter into their house. There are many interpretations over the origins of the name, but these remain uncertain. Some suggest that it means Holy Mary, as in the Virgin Mary, referring to the story of when Mary gave birth to Jesus in a stable at midwinter. Others suggest that it actually means grey mare, combining the Welsh word for grey, llwyd, and the English for mare. This could then hark back to mythologies of pale horses who cross between the mortal and fey realm, or the Annwn, such as in the first branch of the Mabinogi, which is a collection of medieval Welsh stories. In the first branch, there is a description of a fairy maiden, Rhiannon, who rides upon a white horse emerging from a mysterious mound. Though the tradition of the Mari Lwyd is practised in a jovial tone, with song, drink and food exchanged, it was also undeniably a little bit terrifying, with the shadow of a macabre horse's skull appearing at one's door in the midst of winter. This is evocatively captured by the poet Vernon Watkins in his 1941 Ballad of the Mari Lwyd. Mari Lwyd, horse of frost, star horse and white horse of the sea, is carried to us. The dead return. Those exiles carry her, they who seem holy and have put on corruption, they who seem corrupt and have put on holiness. They strain against the door. They strain towards the fire which fosters and warms the living. The living are defended by the rich warmth of the flames which keep that loneliness out. Terrified, they hear the dead tapping at the panes. Then they rise up, armed with the warmth of firelight and the condition of scorn. It is New Year's night. Midnight, 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 midnight. Hark at the hands of the clock. Now dead men rise in the frost of the stars, and fists on the coffins knock. This juxtaposition of jovial celebration and haunting themes lie at the heart of numerous winter festivals, past and present, such as Halloween trick-or-treating, Krampusnacht, the Wild Hunt, and Yuletide. It was not too long ago that in the Northern Hemisphere, winter could be a seriously harsh time for people, with its darkness, cold, and potential food shortages. This led people to seek comfort in warm hearths, storytelling, and eating lots of food. In many places today, such as Chepstow on the Welsh-English border, the Mari Lwyd is combined with wassail traditions, which date back to at least the 17th century. To wassail is to make a toast of a special beverage of hot mulled cider and spices, which is attested all over Wales as well as in southwest England. On the 12th night, songs are sung in the orchards whilst consuming this drink, and loud noises are made to scare away evil spirits so that there will be a good harvest that year. Ronald Hutton records John Aubrey's account of West Country wassail traditions. On the eve of the 12th night, men go with their wassail-bowls into the orchard and go about the trees to bless them and put a piece of toast upon the roots. In some traditions that exist today in Wales, pieces of toast are hung from the orchard trees. Before the 1970s, scholars often believed that the Mari Lwyd had pre-Christian origins, which was often the assumption of many folk customs prior to this time. This is perhaps why it was criticised by church leaders and witnessed a decline during the 19th and early 20th century. In popular culture, it is still often described as an ancient tradition. However, since the 1970s, scholars have been reticent to make such claims owing to the lack of concrete evidence for it being a pagan tradition. By the latter decades of the 20th century, at a time when people were seeking to reaffirm a sense of cultural identity, the Mari Lwyd experienced a revival in Wales that we still see today. Places such as Chepstow or the Gower Heritage Centre host Mari Lwyd and wassailing festivals in January to this day, combining older attested traditions with newer ones.